Finally got to make a trade. It looked like everybody in the board was trading but shooting. What happened?
It's hard when you don't have, a lot of picks to start with. You have to kind of pick and choose your spot. And, we were fortunate to get Mingo. It kind of fell how we thought it would fall, that first pick, all the way down to 39. And just it went clean off the board. And then, when you really look at it, there's like a run. Pass rushers went, you get in that third round. And if you don't go up and get a pass rusher at that point, there's really not much left. And, we're looking at the board now. And, you can argue both ways, but I think, we did the right thing based on our board, based on our team. We went up and were aggressive and did that.
What do you guys like about Mingo?
I mean, size, speed, elite ball skills, good scheme fit for us. Will be physical in the run game. Really checks a lot of boxes for us in a lot of ways.
What was it about DJ Johnson that you guys felt it was important to trade up and get him?
Well, like I said, he was one of the last pass rushers on the board. You never want to force need, but this is a 6'4", 260-pound guy that ran 4.4. He's got rare traits, and with our staff and the conviction that EJ and Dom and our coaching staff had with him, the way our scouts felt about him, there's a ton of development with him, and his upside is huge. He's a guy that's played tight end. He's played defensive end. Once he settles in and gets the coaching, this guy could be a force off the edge, and I think his best ball's in front of him.
His test numbers are more straight line speed than like his 3-cone
Mm-hmm.
instead of 3.3. Do you think that better fits him for outside linebacker than maybe projecting him to defensive end?
Yeah, I'll let Coach talk about how they're going to use him.
Yeah, so there's a couple different styles of outside linebackers in our system. But ideally, you do have this size where we need to set a hard edge, stop the run. And then as far as rushing the passer, as you said, there's the bend rush, then there's speed to power, and there's a lot of different ways to affect the quarterback. So ideally, you're looking for we talk about in our defense, we're looking for 4 guys. So you got 1 through 4, and you can have different types of guys. Obviously Burns is number 1, right? So he's the speed guy, but we really see DJ as kind of a power guy, and then, as Scott said, continue to develop him into a more complete player.
Scott, on Mingo, we heard Dave last night talking about maybe receiver wasn't going to be a big need. Did you view that as a need, and were you worried about kind of forcing it with Mingo too, like you were talking about with Johnson?
No, because you have to look long term. Like when we're building this, there's one thing about talent evaluation, then roster building, and then there's also like just value. Like he was one of our highest rated players on our board. He's a great talent. So all that came together. He was a guy that when Frank and I sat in there with Dan and our staff this morning, kind of pointing him out as a guy that we're going to target here at 39. And like I said, it went clean off the board. We were fortunate he was there. He was kind of the guy we're shooting for.
Did you guys bring both of them in, and any cool stories on either of them?
I will say this with Mingo. We had a really good visit with him when he came in. In fact, I was talking to Coach Jefferson about that. I was not in that one particular meeting with Coach Jefferson, and when he was one-on-one with him. But apparently, from talking to him today, it was a super dynamic meeting. There was a genuine bond and connection between the two of them. So I think very excited to work together.
You got Bryce in today, and a lot of fanfare around. I don't know how much you got to watch him and deal with him. What little moments stood out that we didn't see that impressed you in what you saw?
Well, I'll say this, and Scott, I'm not sure with Scott, but with me, I didn't get to see much of the fanfare stuff because we were working, as Scott said. But kind of after some of that stuff before he left at the end of the day, he kind of came in and just had to sit. All the work was done, right? All the fanfare was over. He was just in Panther gear, just kind of relaxed and kicked back in my office for a half hour, just talking a little football, talking a little bit about a vision for the offense, a vision for this team, really catching him up a little bit just on some of those things and just talking back and forth. It was pretty cool.
He said today that being drafted number 1, that doesn't get him to write for anything right now. He's got to go out and earn it. So what does that say about him from what you've seen in him?
I mean, he's a class act. I mean, that's what you want. That's why one of the things that made him such an attractive pick to us, and he will go out and earn it, right? I mean, that's kind of, he's done that his whole life. So he understands that's just the next step.
Yeah, I thought one of the cool things that he talked about today wasn't about, he talked a little bit and kind of acknowledged last night, it was fun. But today was more about, okay, getting ready. You know, he's turning the page now. We talked a little bit about, you know, mini camp coming up, and, you know, Coach talked to him about, you know, getting with the playbook. He's business now, and you could tell that with him. That's kind of the cool part about this guy.
Scott, I know that he can throw to whomever, but is Mingo like particularly a good fit with Bryce Young?
Yeah, like the size itself, the long speed. He's got tremendous ball skills. And he's a really strong guy. Strong after the catch. He's strong on the ball. Like he's going to be a really nice fit with him.
Hey, Frank, I know you probably talked about this with your local guys during the process, but when you think about the staff that you assembled and project that, how you envision that with Bryce and developing him and supporting him, can you shed some insight on the particular people you brought in as support for him?
Yeah,
and
no.
development?
There's no doubt, right? I mean, it's kind of in the quarterback room. There's a lot of power that goes into that room, a lot of work that goes into that room. You know, really the main voices in that room are Thomas Brown, our offensive coordinator, will be Josh, and myself. There are other people in the room. Parks Frazier, you know, will be in the room as our pass game coordinator. You know, Jim Caldwell will be involved, and really what we do is kind of divide and conquer. Everybody gets kind of assignments on the work that needs to be done to help prepare the quarterback and really help prepare our offense. But then we try to streamline the communication. So, you know, it's kind of a process we've done for a long time. It's been kind of vetted and feel good about how we do that. You don't want too many voices, you know, too many cooks in the kitchen, as they say. So we're pretty much like most staffs. We kind of split up the work, but then consolidate it all, and then it kind of all goes through Thomas as the coordinator, myself, and Josh as the quarterback coach.
Hey, Mike, you have anything?
Yeah. Scott, Frank, was Mingo the guy you talked about last week that you had a great meeting with?
We had a great meeting. It was. He was the guy that he came in the office. Dan Morgan and I sat in there, and he just has a vibe about him, like kind of a toughness, and he's all about ball. He's got a little country to him, and totally different than I thought. But that was the guy. He was really cool.
And then Frank, I mean, when you watch Mingo, he's used everywhere. For a guy who's known for being a creative play designer, like, what does he bring to this offense from a creativity standpoint?
Yeah, you can move them around. You know, we put all of our pass game into kind of different families, and we just, as I said earlier, we just see him as a really good scheme fit. We run a lot of shallows, crosses. We want to get the ball vertical. He's been very effective there. And the thing about a guy, like Scott said, when a guy has elite ball skills and you got a super accurate passer like we do, that's just a really good combination. You know, just get it near him. Like Scott said, he's got strong hands to the ball. You know, he'll be a great target for Bryce.
Scott, are both of these guys a little like Barno and Smith last year in that their traits and skill set may be a little more impressive than their college production?
I would say with, you know, DJ, when you look at it, that's the first thing that pops out is what's on paper. But then when you watch, when he just knows what he's doing, he's getting off the ball, he's got some power to him, and which is different. A lot of guys have speed, and they may not have the power to do that, but now he's got that ability to long arm. They're going to work with him, teach him some technique, but he's got some knockback, and he's just not like a one-trick pony.
Kind of going off of that, is it kind of like you talked about needs versus best player available sometimes? Does I guess later you get into the draft, does sometimes those physical traits play a big factor into picking a guy over somebody else that may be a need?
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance. It's case by case. But when you do take those traits, guys, you believe that we have the right coaching staff. We have some really good coaches on this staff. And you have to look at the background of these guys. Are they someone that's been at the position for 3 or 4 years? Are they 21 years old? And, you know, was it a position switch? There's a lot of different factors, so it is case by case. But, you know, you trust that they have the traits. And in in our program with our coaches. They'll develop them and they'll play them the right way.
Guys, DJ Johnson, you know, he had that incident with the fan where hit somebody in the back of the head. Like, how did you weigh that? What did you talk to him about? And obviously, you're okay with it because you traded up to
Yeah,
get
so-
him.
yeah.
But what was the thinking
So
behind it?
we're aware of that, and we talked to him about it. And then, you know, our coach, our scouts do a great job of getting to know these guys and vetting them and working through it. And you know, we think he's grown from it. Like there was remorse, and I think he's grown from it.
Scott, do you think you'll just sit and take 2 tomorrow, or what's your plan?
I think it's fluid. You know, it depends on how it falls.
Capital to really do a
Yeah,
ton.
yeah. You know, if there's players there on the board, maybe you move back a few spots. I don't know if we'll move forward, but just the way our board lays out, we have plenty of options right now. And there's still some good players out there.
When you look at the roster you had when you got here, so what Scott's been doing the last couple of years trying to get it ready, how ready was it and how much more ready is it now after what y'all done this offseason?
I mean, we've done a lot of work, a lot of really good work. You know, it started in free agency. You know, talking about our, you know, obviously drafting Mingo, but before that, you know, signing the receivers that we signed, Miles Sanders, Hayden Hurst. That's why getting Mingo today was, you know, was incredible, because we already felt good about this room. I mean, we just had, you know, we've had 3 weeks with these guys, and it's been dynamic. And then last week we got on the field, and I look at that receiver room. It's great, but you can never have enough playmakers. And when you got a quarterback, you know, like we have, you want to give them options. And we move guys around, we spread the ball around. I'm excited to get all these guys involved. And, you know, so we did all this work. Scott did an amazing job in free agency. And now in the draft, we just got to finish this up with a strong day tomorrow. And then, but everybody's going to have to earn it. Even Mingo, he's going to have to earn it, right? He's just not going to be anointed to go in there and step right on the field. He's going to have to earn his spot as well.
I want to ask you one more Bryce question. As gracious as he handled everything today during the stuff you didn't see, seems like that's just stuff he really doesn't care about and be almost awkward for him. Almost like Scott out there having to, last night in front of the crowd, probably didn't want to deal with it and wanted to get back and work. How would you describe that in him?
Yeah, I think that's a good description. You know, I mean, I think he's a pro and he's an extremely good communicator. But listen, this guy's been on a mission his whole life, you know, to become the player that he is and wants to still get better and become. So, you know, but in this business, as he's learned, because he's always been at the highest level, it's part of it. You have to play that role. There's something you have to do there. You have to embrace that without burning too much energy. But he's a very focused individual. I could tell today at the end of the day when all that stuff was done, man, he opened up even in a different way. And that was cool to see. So it was fun.
Scott, Mingo talked about how that at 39 he kind of had his eyes on you guys, that you had told him that you were going to probably take him, but but he said that he was also watching for tight ends and an offensive line is what he was told. Is that something that you guys were also considering?
Yeah, I don't know if I actually told him that. Maybe he got that from, you know, the scouts or wherever. He is a guy that, you know, we obviously liked quite a bit. You know, we have some options in there at different positions, but in the end, like we said, he was one of the guys we were targeting going into the day, and it felt just right for us.
Scott, as a former scout, tomorrow's kind of your day. It's Cole's day. It's Dan's day. Getting those guys from the late round picks to the undrafted free agents. What's your philosophy on undrafted free agency, especially when you don't have a lot of picks tomorrow?
I think it's really important. You know, there's different ways to do it. There's, as you know, every year there's guys that fall through the draft and make 53-man rosters that become good players. And so we have different strategies of how we're going to sign these guys. Maybe throw on the board. Maybe we'll guarantee some P5. Maybe, you know, higher signing bonuses, different things. But our scouts do a tremendous amount of work on these guys. And it is, you know, a day that we trust them to do their job and, you know, highlight the guys that we're going to go after. And we'll get the numbers from the coaches. How many, you know, tight ends do we need? How many linemen do we need? And we'll fill those in because, you know, roster-wise, we're a little bit low right now. But there's going to be some, you know, good players that fall through the draft. There always is. And so it's a big day for the scouts.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.